Hey, let's read a tiny passage here of the book I'm reading, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This part had me crying over my morning coffee, and I have a little thought about it, but also the writing is just so beautiful, and I want to share it with you. Okay? Our people were canoe people until they made us walk, until our lakeshore lodges were signed away for shanties and dust. Our people were a circle until we were dispersed. Our people shared a language with which to thank the day until they made us forget. But we didn't forget. Not quite. Most summer mornings of childhood, I woke to the sound of the outhouse door, the squeak of the hinge followed by the hollow thunk as it shut. I rose to consciousness through the hazy songs of vireos and thrushes, the lapping of the lake, and finally the sound of my father pumping the tank on the Coleman stove. By the time my brother and sisters and I emerged from our sleeping bags, the sun would just be topping the eastern shore, pulling mist off the lake in long white coils. The small 4-cup coffee pot of battered aluminum, blackened with the smoke of many fires, would already be thumping. Our family spent summers canoe camping in the Adirondacks, and every day began this way. I can picture my father in his red checked wool shirt, standing atop the rock above the lake. When he lifts the coffee pot from the stove, the morning bustle stops. We know without being told that it's time to pay attention. He stands at the edge of the camp with the coffee pot in his hands, holding the top in place with a folded pot holder. He pours coffee out on the ground in a thick brown stream. The sunlight catches the flow, striping it amber and brown and black as it falls to the earth and steams in the cool morning air. With his face to the morning sun, he pours and speaks into the stillness. Here's to the gods of Taos. The stream runs down over smooth granite to merge with the lake water, as clear and brown as the coffee. I watch it trickle, picking up bits of pale lichen and soaking a tiny clump of moss as it follows a crack to the water's edge. The moss swells with the liquid and unfurls its leaves to the sun. Then, and only then, does he pour out steaming cups of coffee for himself and my mother, who stands at the stove making pancakes. So begins each morning in the North Woods, the words that come before all else. I'm pretty sure that no other family I knew began their day like this, but I never questioned the source of those words, and my father never explained. They were just part of our life among the lakes. But their rhythm made me feel at home, and the ceremony drew a circle around our family. By those words we said, "Here we are." And I imagined that the land heard us, murmured to itself, "Oh, here are the ones who know how to say thank you." It continues on to tell the story of how they did not know their language, their original Potawatomi language, but they learned it later. And yet the use of English and that simple gratitude was something that stayed with her all through her life, and still, I imagine. The way that she writes, you get lost in that moment, and you also feel this, I feel this incredible sadness and gratitude and awe for the capacity of these simple practices to connect back to land, and the amount that you can love land so much, and the way that the land can love you back. I think about my mother. I'm not indigenous, but my mother learned about some nature practices, and she loved standing in the morning after her walks. She would stand on a tree stump, and she would turn to the north, the east, to the south, and the west, and she would thank each direction, and then we would leave after our walk. And there was just this, even just the simple practice of pouring a cup of coffee back to the earth, or thanking the woods after your walk. They are things that are such simple things, and yet it connects us back to earth and to intentionality. And I think that a lot of us don't do that. I say a lot of us as in like just the day-to-day people that I can think of. Just even having my mother do it and having me grow up with it and just seeing that practice of going back is what influenced me so deeply to connecting and wanting to have purpose and wanting to have connection to land in a way that was simple and yet like so grounded in respect and gratitude. And I think about the amount of us that just go through our day to day and never think about the land, never think about giving gratitude for the things that we receive and the things that are given. Because I think she talks even more about, the purchasing of things, of how it's commercial, of how it's not, if it's a gift, it feels different than if it is bought. And when we make all of these things commercial, when we make, the water and the land and the food, when it becomes an exchange and not a gratitude for what the earth can give us, it's one that makes me pause. And I've read this book before, and that passage is one that stuck with me. The idea of a father raising a child and showing in action just this simple gratitude for that particular land and that particular place. And it is inspiring and leaves me pensive and wanting to try to find ways to do that more in my life as well. And obviously, it's very different since I'm not, my family is not originally from the Americas, but I do my best to go back to land and go back to a gratitude for where I was raised and where I was born. I think I've just been feeling very like introspective about that recently. I do have these earrings too. This is just random, but I do want to plug like a native company. This is 8th generation, and they're beautiful. I'll link them down below. I'm not doing this for that or anything, but if you want to grab some earrings and if you want to try braiding sweetgrass, do that because yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you soon.